I feel like I need to use this platform to tell people how dangerous cows are.
Rue, start the show! I'm Beatrice, your badass branding strategy girl, and welcome to the Art of Branding Badassery podcast. Rue expects your best branding game. You don't want to miss out on 95% of your audience, do you? Yes, in today's episode of The Art of Branding, we're talking about building a brand voice that oozes who your brand is and makes it stand out like a Broadway show. Our guest today has a background in musical theater and a passion for storytelling. Known as the fairy godmother of public speaking, she's here to sprinkle some magic dust on your brand voice so you too can captivate any audience. Pascalle Bergmens, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me and saying my name correctly. You did it.
Yes.
Well,
I was like, oh God.
I love it.
You know what? I have to ask, what's your go-to shower song?
My go-to shower song? Oh, well, you know what? It's actually not a musical theater song, but yeah, I know. How dare I? I actually, weird thing, I don't like musical theater. So people go, oh, let's go to a show together. I'm like, please don't bring me to a show. Like, I hate it so much.
Oh, no.
I love doing it. It's one of those things where I've just done it so much that now I'm like, no, it's not relaxing to watch for me anymore. But my go-to shower song is, I don't remember the title. It's like, oh, we're halfway there. Oh, Living on a Prayer. That's it.
Yes.
That's the one.
Oh my God, that is the song. I thought it would be the cup song.
No,
I'm sorry. I thought
I
it was
think the cup song is like, if I have to hear that song one more time, I might check myself into an asylum. It's bad.
Okay. We'll put a little warning on your headline. Please do not mention.
Ever mention it to me.
Well, since we're on musical experience, how about that and the art of storytelling in developing a brand voice? Do you see any intersections?
Absolutely. I think whatever you put out there needs to have a form of storytelling. Because whatever you're trying to do with your brand or with your story, with your posts, with whatever you're putting out, you're trying to create an emotional reaction. So we know that the brains has a part where we have our emotional decision-making or where our decision-making part sits. And that gets turned on when we feel something, whether that is happiness, sadness, anger, anxiety, doesn't matter. As soon as there is an emotion, that part of the brain flares up. So I feel that if you're good at storytelling, if you're good at creating emotions, building a world, building a place where people can feel something, whatever that is, I think that will always result in something good.
Exactly. Damn. And you know what? Speaking of emotions, girl, that reminds me of you telling me about your fear of cows. I feel like there must be a lot in the Netherlands. Is there a story behind this?
There is a story, and I feel like I need to use this platform to tell people how dangerous cows are. They are literally my worst fear. Like, I kid you not, you can ask my partner. We go hiking a lot, and in the UK, in the Netherlands, they just walk around free and you can go through the fields. And people say, oh, but cows are so cute. They won't harm you. They will. They will try to kill you. I've been in two situations, not one, two situations where I was in a field and I'm like walking along the sides and the cows are on the other side and I'm thinking it's all fine. And suddenly I hear and they're all running towards you. And people say, oh, well, they're just curious. I looked into these cows' eyes. They were not curious. They were ready to eat me and destroy me. I swear. They did not stop. Like, I had to run.
Man.
And that happened to me twice. So I am absolutely terrified of cows. And a lot of animals, actually. I'm always unlucky with animals. I've got a mark on my finger where I was bitten by a monkey. Of monkeys that people said, no, they're fine. They've never bitten anyone. Well, guess who they bite? Me. So I try to stay away from a lot of animals except my dogs. But Yeah, most animals I try to stay far, far away from, and especially cows.
They're after payback, like since we're eating them
I
so
don't even
much.
eat cow. Let's say, like, my partner, he doesn't eat meat, so I barely eat meat. And if I eat meat, it's chicken. So if any animal has a right to be angry with me, it's chickens, not cows. Like, I'm rooting for them. I eat bio burgers. No, like the beet burgers. So not even real burgers. So I'm upset.
You haven't been attacked by a chicken yet.
Oh, I have been attacked by chicken too. No, seriously, when we were young, my parents, we had this big garden and they had an area for chickens. And I walked in there once. My dad was like, just open your hand like this and they will just peck it out. This chicken bit into my hand, didn't let go. So I was running around with the chicken flapping from my arm. It was a whole nightmare. So yeah, chickens also are a big no-no. Any farm animal. Terrible,
Okay,
isn't it? Gosh.
Fair. Talking about fear on a more serious note, can you tell us about a time that when you were helping someone to overcome a fear to find their own brand voice?
Yeah, absolutely. Very recently, actually, I had a lady reach out and she was like, hey, I just don't even know where to start. So we hopped on a call and I said, just talk to me about your life. Literally, where did it all start? Where you come from? How was school for you? Just talk to me about your life and how you ended up where you are. And as she was talking about this, there was this one common thread that came back in every aspect of her life. I was like, that can be your brand. And she was like, oh, I never actually thought about it that way. I was like, well, in every story, there's this almost like a golden rule or a red thread that you can follow, because that is the one thing that is a constant. And that thing should be focused around your brand. For me personally, when I started Present Tales, it comes from a passion of telling stories. So that's always been my thing. When I was young, there are videos of me playing with a doll, talking to the doll, telling my mom, oh no, we went to the market and then we went to the pool. We were just in the garden, but I could just build this whole world. And I've done that my whole life. When I then started doing musical theater, I got bullied heavily in school. So I always escaped in my own stories, in my own life, in my own sort of head. So I think for me, the storytelling aspect has always been so strong that I then took that into public speaking, and, the rest is history. So I think you always need to look at what is the common red thread that runs through your life. Build from there, because you can never go wrong.
Exactly. So building a brand voice, it's all about that authenticity and connecting with the audience, right? Yeah. So what are some secrets that you can spill on finding the right balance between that professionalism and personality?
Yeah.
So when you're developing a brand voice that truly resonates with their intended audience.
Well, I think one of the main things is don't try to be for everyone. Like, you can't, not everybody likes vanilla. Well, most people do, but not everybody does. Not everybody likes strawberry. Not everybody likes banana. So you can't be everybody's taste, right? So I would not try to be. I would create a brand that you like, a brand that would make you go, wow, that's exciting. That's fun. I want to be around that person. Because if you don't want to be around you, why should we want to be around you? Why should we want to follow you, right? So I think it starts there, from a place of permitting yourself to enjoy your own jokes, your own ideas. I mean, when I create videos, for those of the people watching that have seen them, they get a bit crazy. I even got called out on it recently in a meeting with a big Fortune 500 company. He was like, oh, your videos are a bit extra. And I was like, well, you knew what you were getting before you hired me. So like, I love my videos. I create these jokes. I have a good giggle, because it's not sustainable if you create something that you don't like, right? So I think that's the main part, is creating something that is not for everyone, and actively don't try to be for everyone. Be for a very specific group of people, because then you're going to create your own little community, your own club of people that all go, we love you. And that's what you want. And it might not get you 150,000 followers on LinkedIn, but it'll get you 7,000 people that really, really like you.
Exactly. It's a very fine balance between the two, but
yeah,
when you get it, like, people know what to expect.
Exactly.
They can see it. This is who we're dealing with.
It makes it so much easier for you as well, because you can just go, my audience will love this because I love this. So it makes it so much easier. It takes the pressure off a lot.
Seriously. And then putting that together with storytelling, and you talk about storytelling so much.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool. So how do you help your clients craft compelling stories that align with that voice?
Yes. So I always talk about building a world that people want to be a part of. So every time we put something out there, you need to create a space, a world, an environment that is attractive, that makes people go, I want to be in this special circle. You want to create something that feels a little bit like a secret, where people go, ooh, okay, well, this is like our secret club. We're all going to be in here now, right? So you want to create that. And I think the part of storytelling that does that is speaking to as much of the senses as possible. So when I present a big keynote, for example, I make sure people feel what I'm talking about instead of understand, because people are way smarter than we think. They understand what you mean. They might not feel the same urgency as you do. So as soon as you start creating that urgency and going, this is why that's important, and linking everything together with purpose. I mean, I did a post on it today. It's like the transitions. How do you move from each thing to the next? So you create this one big thought track where people can follow you and they go, oh, that's why this is happening. Oh, and therefore this is going on. And therefore, I think that is the golden rule of storytelling. You need to have A to Z lined up. You can't just get on and go, I want to talk about this, see where I'll end up. Don't do that. Ever.
Have the beginning there, like bring them in from the very get-go.
Yeah, like bring them in before you start talking. Like I always say, your speech begins 2 seconds before you speak, or whatever you do begins 2 seconds before it happens. When you breathe in, like there is so much we can do with breath. For example, if I go, I'm going to say something that's probably a bit hard for me to say. It might be something negative. It might be something, anxiety ridden, something like that. But if I go, you're like, oh, what's happening? This is exciting, so it's making sure that you use that time that you get beforehand to make people go, what's going on? Because if we don't go, what's going on before you start talking, then there's a very, very small chance that we will actually engage with you after you've started talking.
What kind of hints would you give for people to, I don't know, get into a certain sort of vibe or get a certain sort of reaction from their audience?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is take a couple of minutes before you go on, before you record your video. Take a couple of minutes to just go and assert yourself in that world. Assert yourself completely and go completely underwater essentially and just go, okay, I'm going to be talking about this. And you need to feel it, because if you don't feel it, why should I? Right? Why should we? So I think if you I don't hit record, for example, in my videos if I'm not feeling it that day. Absolutely not. I'll just record it some other time. And a lot of people, I think, feel the pressure of, but I need to create it and people expect it now, and screw that. If you're not feeling it, you're going to damage your brand. So it's better to just wait and do it next time.
I mean, in that case, what do you think of singers like, say, for example, I think it was Beyonce. She has like a persona that she just steps into. This is who I'm going to be. This is my stage persona. Would you recommend something like that? Like, okay, I'm going to envision my video persona is this, but how, and still keep it to being you, still keep it on brand, still keep it on your voice.
Absolutely. So I call that main character energy. And it's something we all need to do more of, okay? Main character energy. Don't share the freaking spotlight with anyone. Don't leave any room. This is your space now. And especially if you're an introvert, this is a very cool trick. Because people say, oh, but I still want to stay me. By all means, don't change. But just turn on the main character energy. It's a small switch where you go, I'm the most important thing in this room right now. Right now, nothing else matters. And I got this from my stage experience, right? If you're on stage speaking to thousands of people night after night after night, and I mean thousands, right? there needs to be a certain level of importance that you have in that moment in time, because they are watching you. They're not going anywhere, but they can go somewhere else in their heads, right? Or they can check their phone, or they can check the leaflet that they got, or whatever they've got in front of them. And on LinkedIn, they can scroll. So you better make sure that you're the main character in that moment that makes them go, I want to be you, or I relate to you, or I want you to win. So if you get that main character energy and you go, whatever I like about me in this moment in time, I'm going to make that 10 times bigger, then it's still you, just in a little different coating. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that for me, because I'm an introvert, I'm someone who likes to be alone, that really helps me. People often think I'm an extrovert because, oh, you're so good on camera and it's like, no, this is main character energy right here. When this is done, I'm going to go get a cup of tea and be alone for 10 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So this is a persona, but it's me. It's just a part of me that I make 10 times bigger, and then I dial it back in. But it's still me. You can't be anything you're not. So don't try to be.
Heck yeah, I freaking love that. And I feel like we can apply that not only, like, say, for example, in videos, in speeches, but also, when we're writing up our content.
Yeah.
Bring that in your writing.
Why do people need to read this right now? Why is this the most important piece of content? Find that reason, write it like that. Don't just go, well, here's a cool tip. Screw that. We've seen enough tips. I can get tips on YouTube. Write something that makes me go, I need this today. If I don't do this right now, I've screwed up, right? You want to create that urgency. Without that urgency, then we live in a world where we get constant streams of, look at this, look at this, look at this. Why do I need to stop? Make me stop. Yeah. That's your job in creating a brand. Make me stop.
Heck yeah. And speaking of screwing up, what are some common pitfalls or mistakes people make trying to establish their brand voice, and how can they avoid them?
I think a lot of people try to be something they're not, right? They see someone who's really successful and they try and be that. Don't do that ever. It just doesn't work, right? I've played a lot of roles. I've played a lot of different roles. I've played Mary Poppins. I've done Elphaba. I've done so many different things and in so many different scenarios. But it's always been me. It's how you have some actors where you go, Anthony Hopkins, he's always Anthony Hopkins. He's just Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. He's Anthony Hopkins as the Pope. Okay? That's the difference there. He's not trying to be something he's not. He goes within himself and finds that part that can portray that. And it's the same with your brand voice. Stop trying to be something that you're not. If you are someone who likes giving facts, give facts. Put the thing out there that you're good at, because guess what? There will be people out there who like that. No, maybe it's not what all those cool big names on LinkedIn say you should do, but at least you're staying true to yourself, and you'll find your crowd that like your vibe, because you can't be everything to everyone at the same time. So I think the most common pitfall is definitely trying to be something you're not. And people try to do everything at the same time. Like, I made this mistake when I started. I tried to be everything and do everything. And I was like, well, let's hold on a minute. I'm new to this. I'm going to start with 3 days a week, for example, posting on LinkedIn. I'm going to start with a website. Instead of a website, a newsletter, a blog post. Like, whoa, calm down. Do one thing first. See how that goes. Get some feedback. Launch the next thing. Don't do everything at once. So those two things, don't be anything you're not, and don't do everything at once.
It's freaking intense. And yeah, I mean, I can see that even, say, for example, if you're looking at pop culture, say Superman, people know a specific person as that character, and then they make a huge hoo-ha. They make a big fuss of if the actor or the actress changes. So imagine that, like, on a LinkedIn level, people get to know you as one sort of person, and then if it doesn't match into what we really are, and they speak to you later on, like on a Zoom call, they're like,
you're going to live a very tiring life. Because that's, it's tiring. You're trying to be something you're not. That's exhausting. Don't do that.
Exactly. Well, there is one question that I ask everybody that comes on board here, and that is, what's the biggest societal norm that you want to push back on and teach others about in general?
In general, oh gosh. There are so many. I think that we all so desperately try to be different all of the time. You as a person is different enough. And I think we need to normalize that. Normalize being freaking normal. Because we're all trying to stand out. We're all trying, I've got this new word that I came up with, which means the same thing as the previous thing, but it sounds cooler. Like, no. How about we're just going to own up to our humanity and about being normal instead of constantly trying to be different and to stand out. You as a person are so unique in your mannerisms, your way of thinking, the things you've been through, that is exceptional enough. Stop trying to be different.
Bring out what's already in there. Exactly.
It's more than cool enough. Because again, otherwise you have to reinvent the wheel constantly to stay top of mind. If you're just you and you're using whatever you have as a person, you have more than enough there to create a brand for days.
Exactly. Love it. Well, thank you again for joining, Pascalle.
There you go. Got it.
Oh, no.
You got it in the end.
How can people reach you?
How can they find me? So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, which is Pascalle Bergmens, or you can find me through Present Tales. And I'm launching my new website soon, which will be presentTales.com. So they can find me there as well. My DMs are always open, so feel free to reach out.
Heck yeah, thank you. And those details will also be in the episode description. And drop any questions you'd like answered about this show in the comments. And of course, stay badass.